Kong Skull Island, 2017's remake of the King Kong series, part of the Monster Universe. Is it a good movie? What's the final grade on it? Well, we'll figure that out at the end of this episode movie breakdown. But before I hop into it, I do want to let you guys know what movie breakdowns, a movie review series. We're looking new at old movies, give them a grade A through F, plus and minuses do count. And if the review want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to as best I can. Also, Patreon.com/Ali_Zakka for $2 a month. You get the cut in front of everybody. Get your review way out before on Facebook and YouTube. So you pay for it, you get it out way before it comes out on Facebook and YouTube. You get to see it, watch it, review it, all that good stuff. That's what you get for the Patreon. It's Ali Zakka or Patreon/Ali Zakka, $2 a month. Now, let's go and get today's episode of 2017's Kong Island. What is this movie about? Well, this movie is about a group of U.S. scientists that goes to this uncharted island to figure out what's on there. And as they go to this island, they find King Kong. But King Kong's not the only monster on this uncharted island. You also have a thing called skull crawlers and a bunch of other prehistoric like creatures on this island and have to survive out this island and at the same time get through the wrath of King Kong. That is the gist of this movie. Kind of like a classic retake on, Kong versus the humans, but then it kind of twists it where it's just not really that exact beat for beat storyline. So what are the things that I liked? I like King Kong. I thought King Kong was a good depiction of the character, the monster. Thought he was a good job. He was powerful, strong, kind of like gentle at certain bits and pieces. Like, I like King Kong. King Kong was pretty cool in this movie. Another thing I liked that pretty much the whole Avengers cast was in this movie. You had Captain Marvel, you had Loki, you had Nick Fury, you had Guardians of the Galaxy's character in here. You had Mr. Fantastic, Dr. Doom from Fantastic in this movie. You have the dad from Death Note, Netflix version in this movie. It's just funny how this movie has so many different people. Also, you have Sully's from Monsters, Inc., John Goodman, who's also in Emperor's New Groove, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and a bunch of other stuff that John Goodman has done. Just a phenomenal actor all around. But this movie's cast is huge. There's a huge cast of people in this movie that surprisingly, I didn't know about it until I just watched this movie. This is the first time watching 2023, and I was actually shook. I was like, wait, ain't that Tom Hiddleston? Look it up. Fuck yeah, it's Tom Hiddleston. Sorry, I just cussed. But yeah, it's Tom Hiddleston in this movie. Like, what? Actually popped hard. I was like, Samuel Jackson, like, I completely forgot that he was in this movie. John Goodman, I was like, ain't that John Goodman? Okay, this movie might actually be much better than Godzilla from 2014. And the things I dislike in this movie, the CGI. This movie is CGI filled. I mean, you can see it in every moment. I understand you need CGI for King Kong versus the skull crawlers and a bunch of other monsters in this movie. That makes sense. But I don't need a CGI background of Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson just standing there. I don't need that. I don't need a CGI background of them stand there and then see King Kong. Like, every part of this movie just seemed so CGI. It took me out of the movie, especially when they're in the Fords. It just looked CGI, and I was like, I get it. It didn't need to be CGI, but it was, and that kind of stuff bothered me. For the most part, it's a very, very simple movie. Like, the movie moves fast at parts and pieces, which is actually a lot better than Godzilla movie. The other one, that moved a lot slower. This one moved a lot faster. Like, you get on the island, you fight Kong, okay, you crash, then you get separated, and then you go and see the natives and see what they're doing, then you go back over, and then you gotta go through this graveyard, and it's orange color tinted, and a lot more action pieces and action sequences, and then let's go kill Kong, and let's not go kill Kong. But like, the movie, parts of the story didn't hit. Like, for example, how did Brie Larson know that Kong wasn't gonna kill her? Like, I get that John C. Reilly character said Kong protects the people of this land from the monsters, and then Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston walks up, they see Kong, and Kong kind of looks at them, and I think Brie, she actually touches him. Yeah, she touches him on the nose or something like that, and he kind of looks at them, and then he walks away, and she's crying like she has some kind of emotional connection with this guy. Like, why are you crying? There's nothing about this that you guys didn't have this connection like the other Kong and the other lady Kong takes a lady and there's this whole love connection there. There was nothing like that in this movie. It was just like Brie just heard stories of Kong, know he's a good guy, and she was like, oh, he's so gentle. Like, what's with the car? Like, there's some emotional beats that didn't make sense in this movie to me, but other than that, it was fine. They tried to do like a little Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston romance thing in this movie that just didn't hit. It's definitely an action movie. It's a simple action movie that you go watch it, turn your brain off, you'll be fine. You'll be like, okay, cool. Kong is here while I came to watch, and I get some moments of Samuel L. Jackson trying to fight a giant gorilla, get his butt kicked. Like, it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's okay. It does its job. It does its job. I'm trying to think of anything else before I hop into cast and details, and not really. So let's kind of hop into it. So Kong Skull Island, 2017, PG-13, an hour and 58 minutes long, so 2 hours long. The director, John Vogt Roberts. It was cool. It was just like the writers, I guess I'm talking about the writers too. Writers Dan Gilroy, Max Borenstein, and Derek Connolly. When it came to the writers, they actually killed off characters in this movie. I was surprised. Like, John Goodman dies in this movie. I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Former Dr. Doom dies in this movie. I did not see that coming. Samuel L. Jackson, of course, dies in this movie because he's on this revenge hunt to fight King Kong. So it was interesting to see that. Also, some of the clips, they did a lot of like spinning stuff around this movie. You had like far out shots in this movie when it came to camera angles. And you had up close shots in this movie when it came to camera angles. You've seen stuff happen. The CGI was okay from here, bits and pieces, but then like everything else was green screen. As far as the monsters go, CGI worked as far as the monsters goes, but when it came to like just standing normally, I would not chose CGI for that. I would chose just regular props and sets and stuff like that to make it flow better. But it's cool. It's just it's really just an action movie, like a turn off your brain action movie. Not like there's nothing about this movie that's too egregious. Nothing about this movie that's be like, oh my god, I gotta watch this again. It just okay. Another thing I do remind myself in this movie or think about is that it's super bright. It is a bright movie. Like super bright. Even at nighttime, it's still a bright movie, which you can see what's going on, which is cool. But it is brighter compared to the Godzilla movie. It's a lot of orange, a lot of yellow in this movie, a lot of red. Just a bright movie altogether. The cast, Tom Hiddleston, who played James Conrad, he is like your tracker, I'm off the wall, kind of, not off the wall, but like, I'm not relegated by the government. I do what I want. I'm a loose cannon kind of guy, which is not really a loose cannon. He's actually a dude in the movie that keeps everybody together, keeps everybody aligned, but he's probably your loose cannon character who doesn't play by the book. He does his own thing, but in reality, in this movie, he actually plays by the book. He's the good guy that you get behind. You know, when you first introduce him, he's kind of like the dick character, like, oh, he's gonna betray the crew. No, he's the dude who everybody kind of looks at for guidance in this movie. He was fine. He was cool. He was trying to keep Samuel L. Jackson in line. For the most part, he was just like, I'm gonna get off this island, make sure everybody gets home. That's pretty much it. Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Preston Packard. Samuel L. Jackson is really the antagonist in this movie. He feels like he's been wronged by Kong because Kong kills his man. So he's like, I'm going to kill Kong. I'm going to take out Kong. You know, everybody else like, no, Kong's not a bad guy. We came and attacked him, and that's why he attacked us. But they were like, no. He's like, I'm going to get my revenge. And pretty much because of his journey of vengeance, he gets killed at the end of the movie by Kong. Like, he goes out via Kong kills him because he tried to kill Kong. That's pretty much it. That's his whole character where like he's the military leader who feels wronged by Kong, so you try and get right with him. And his story of like vengeance not always the answer. And his crew does realize like, hey, we don't need to try to kill this guy. We beat him. He's down. We don't need to kill him. And they're like, no, we want to kill Kong. Brie Larson, who plays Mason Weaver, she is pretty much another person who studies these creatures and studies like a scientist, and she's there. Another character gives something to the movie. Like, you can take her out the movie really, and it'll be fine. Like, to me, I don't think she needs to be in this movie. The character Mason Weaver, Brie Larson, is fine. She's a cool actress, but just there. John C. Reilly, who plays Hank Marlowe, who is your exposition dump. He is the guy who explains to everybody what's going on, what happened. He's kind of kooky. He's been on the island for like 30 plus years since World War II. 40 plus years, and he has a really powerful moment at the end of the movie. I think directors and writers got it right when he comes back home and there's nothing but just silence and music playing, and he's like seeing his family and saying like his son, like, this is who I am and stuff like that. In that moment, without even saying a word, you get to experience everything about his character at the end of the movie. I thought that scene was a powerful moment in this movie, but everything else about him was just like, okay, he's here, he's a kooky character, like, we gotta protect Kong, I'm gonna get your back. The dialogue in this movie, just thinking about it, he has some of the worst lines delivery in this movie. Not delivery, like his delivery of it is fine, but the lines he was given, it's very cheesy. It's definitely just like I said, an action movie. Like, it is a by the book standard action movie. John Goodman, who plays Bill Rhonda, he was a scientist who's heading everything. He dies in this movie actually, but other than that, he was fine. He was cool. Just John Goodman being John Goodman, he really felt like he didn't add much else to his movie. Corey Hawkins, who played Houston Brooks, he was like John Goodman's assistant. He was fine as well, just all right, cool. Sean Wigman, who played Cole, he was like the military guy who has a horrible way of going out in this movie. He had this whole like moment where he's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the others. Everybody else like, no, don't do it. And the skull crusher just smacks him into the building and reflects to the wall and he explodes. And you're like, well, that was pointless. Who wrote that? Who wrote this scene? But he's from the guy who plays, he plays in Death Note as Light's father in Death Note, live action Death Note. And Toby Kebbell, who plays Jack Chapman in this movie, he is the guy from he's Dr. Doom from Fan 46. That's the only reason I shouted him out, because Dr. Doom. All right, a few other things I want to talk about here, I didn't get to it before I hop into the characters, is the budget and whatnot. So the budget for this movie was $185 million estimate, and it grossed worldwide $568 million. So it did get his money back. It did get his money back, and that's why they kept the series going with, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which this movie does make a hit to it after credit scene in this movie. Any other thoughts? Like, besides it being super orange, other than that, it's like bright colored movie. Other than that, it was fine. It was just it's an action flick. Skull Crushers or Skull Crawlers were like the monsters that King Kong is fighting, and you get to see him fight the final one, and it's just a monster fight to the end where Kong overcomes and rips the monster's tongue out and wins at the end of the movie. Like, he ended up doing it with Brie Larson in his hands. So like the whole God and King Kong protecting the woman thing is in the movie, but he does that, and that's pretty much it. Is this a Friday night movie? Sure, it's a Friday night movie. Watch with your friends and family. You want to watch a monster movie, throw it on. I think everybody be entertained. Nobody's going to be like, you might be dragged out certain parts, but other than that, I think everybody be entertained and get the movie over with. And grade time. I'm going to grade Kong, Skull Island from 2017. I'm going to give this movie a C. It's a 75% for me. Just a classic, simple action movie, forest jungle movie. 75%. IMDb gives it a 6.7 out of 10. That is a D+. And Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 75%. That's from the critics. That's a C. The same score that I give it. And the audience gives this movie a 69%, which is a D+. So I'm right there with Rotten Tomatoes and the critics with a 75%, a C. The audience and IMDb gives the movie a D+. If you've seen Kong Skull Island from 2017, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below on that. See you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.